You know. My name is Oladele Racheal, known as Chemistry, and this is my LoveWorld Story. So my LoveWorld Story started way back from when I was in pre-degree, or rather before pre-degree, because before I left home, I remember my dad telling me clearly to go to Christ Embassy. And the funny thing is, we actually don't attend Christ Embassy at home, but the church we attend at home is not here. So it was like, okay, go to Christ Embassy. I didn't know what he was saying then until I got into Christ Embassy, Believers Love Word. So it was a Saturday evening. So Saturday evening, I was out with a friend. We're working like outside CDL and all that. And a sister wanted to talk to me about Christ. I wasn't interested. Being honest, I was like, I beg. You can see that I'm working. Just leave me alone. So like she kept persisting, but I just walked past really as well, since we do when we're in the world. So I just walked past. But when I was walking back, I saw the Rhapsody of Realities in her hand. I went to her and I was like, why? Are you from Christ Embassy? She was like, yes. Then I hugged her. She was so surprised, like, this person that was giving me attitude and just walking past. But the person is Sister Janet, by the way, or Pastor Janet. And then I hugged her. I was like, I'm looking for Christ Embassy. I had to go to another church last week. And it wasn't even funny. Then she invited me to church. I went to church the next day and I met Pastor John. And it felt like we've like known each other for like forever. They were so loving, the way they hugged me, the way they were like, wow, it was everything and more. Like they gave me a family right there in pretty great. The times when my pastor then, Pastor John, would call me randomly, oh, how you doing? Check on my results. Or just call me, oh, come outside, let's reach out to souls, let's reach out to people. And then I'll be like, I don't know how to preach. Oh. You say, okay, just invite them to church. So we're doing things like that till basically the end of Pretty Great. So when I left Pretty Great, I left with a picture in mind. I already knew where I was like going to come to, obviously, when I resumed. Even when I went home, I kept longing for Believers Love World. I wanted to come back. I could not wait for the break to be over. Then when I go back to church here, it was the same thing as the name implies, Believers Love World. It was the same thing. Then I continued being in church, but then I wasn't serious. I was the tutorial type. Everybody knows me with that in church. I was the tutorial type, so I was always going to tutorials. So even though I was in the choir, but I wasn't quite like functional. Maybe in a whole month, probably attend like one rehearsal. Then I think it was when I got to part two. So there was a day that it was only I and Sister Dami. I remember that day very well. That were in the choir and we were singing. And Pastor Ogo came down. I was like, who's that singing? I was like, Picture, you're the one. So I was like, what is this Pastor talking about? Then, but that was like the beginning of something. That was the beginning of like something new. Then the next time my HOD then the esteemed Star Joanne. So that take this song now, Gracious Father. Like they gave me that opportunity even if I wasn't serious. It's like they found what was in me and they brought it out regardless of how I was behaving as at then. She was like, don't worry, just sing it. So I sang that Sunday and from then, that was like the beginning of my commitment in the choir. I started like making sure I was actually in the rehearsal. It like started opening up my mind to the responsibilities I had in church. So the next song I took was Satisfied in Your Love. And I was really, really satisfied in the love of Christ in that song. And like it was just everything and more. I could see the love of Christ in the choir, in the church, in like everybody. And then they kept like pushing me out there, pushing me. And with time, I realized that, okay, God actually wants me to be here. God actually wants me to function like this in the choir. And I'm so grateful for, being in the choir because I told me, yeah, I'd been in the choir for years, like all my life. But I'd never like had that opportunity. But believers love what saw that in me and they brought it out. So who I am today in my um do I use the word music career? But who I am today, the minister I am today, is as a result of those little opportunities they gave me then in Believers Love World. And then I remember when we had a pastor change and then we had our new pastors come around. The good pastor, Sister Racheal, the Saturday she saw me, she ran, she was like, Rachel. And I was like, is what's going on? What's this? Like, do you know me before? Like she acted like she knew me. So at that point I knew that it was not just about like it was everyone. Like as far as you were under that believers love God umbrella, like you are a lovely person, like love personified. Most people loved me so much. She hugged me. So like, yeah. And even when I met a new zonal pastor, it was the same thing. Like that Sunday, he came down and was like, wow, you were the one singing. But I said, what do you do in the choir? You're like the head of tenor or something. It was so interested. Like I could see how interested they were. And this like reminded me of when like I did my music competition and everybody in church stood by me. Like everybody held my hand and they're like, Rachel, you've got this, you can do this. In fact, there was a day that Pastor was doing his this 60 days of the midnight watchers, and his prayers actually started by I think it was supposed to start by it was 11 or 12. I can't really remember, but I was still trying to like record my song that they actually started like in the evening, but I had different issues. It was not recording. We went to another church to even beg. It was not recording, it was like aye. Like they just wanted me to leave the competition, not because I could not sing, but because my songs were not recorded. Oh, that day I saw Pastor, he stood, like it was interfering in his prayer time. He was meant to start his prayer, which was like very important. But Pastor stood, he stood there watching. At some point, he had to go outside praying. Like, also was patient enough. Like, I took like 30 minutes out of his prayer time. Like, that kind of love. I don't think anybody could, I don't think anybody can show that kind of love. Like, he could have easily told me, and go and record this somewhere else. Go and leave the altar or something. Go and use that camera. Go and use phone camera. Go and do it somewhere else. But Pastor gave me his time. And even during the votes, it was like, call me. He said, Rich, why didn't you call me now? Call me. Call me for your votes. Call me for everything. And the same thing for everybody. They gave me resources. They gave me their time, love, everybody called. And even after the competition, they were still there. They were there for me. So as the name implies, believers love world. It is love indeed. A family of love. I came, I experienced love. Then I made friends. I made friends. And right now, when they say my church friend or a church member that became a sister. I got a mom here, Sister Joanne. I got church sisters. Shout out to Precious, my precious Osawa. Osawa is not here anymore, but she was a sister, Sister Agogo, and like so many more. Like they were there, like the connections I looked forward to coming to church. Coming to church was like so interesting. Like it was everything and more. I wasn't coming to church, but I was coming to meet my family, and I'm so glad to be a part of this family that opened me up to my potentials and all I could be in Christ. Thank you. Bye.